call themselves last off the bench. Ryan McClurg, the first off of it. McClurg looking for his moment. I told you! Ryan McClurg is unstoppable. But Schwartz will do it on his own.
Everybody gets a score.
Newsom's got 3 3-pointers. 9 points. The walk-ons have taken over.
We welcome you back here to Longhorn Weekly. And the third member of our happy trio is Longhorns guard Joe Schwartz, who joins us now. And you joked about saving the best for last. I have a feeling you've got some unique offerings for us tonight.
Well, first off, thank you for having me out tonight. It's a big honor, and we're happy to be here. But I think the term the best for last may not just be myself. I think the three of us being here tonight, we were all excited to be here once we found out today. And I don't want to rank any of us in a particular order because I think the three of us each have our own role, and we do our own things, but I think that we do the best we can to make sure this team stays connected and does what Coach wants us to do.
Shaka, what makes him unique?
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe's got a very high emotional intelligence. He understands people. He gets along really, really well with the guys, particularly Isaiah, who some people don't get along with, but Joe does. And I think, something about a teammate that really works in a team setting is when you get the people that you're around and you see what are the things that make them tick. And Joe has that. He understands that. And he's been fun to be around and work with, ever since the day we got here.
How do you get along with Isaiah so well?
Well, I think the best part about mine and Isaiah's relationship was right when I got to UT, I was not on the team, and Isaiah was one of the first people that reached out to me. And then once I started practicing with the team, Isaiah and I kind of formed a bond, and we started hanging out a lot. And then once I was officially put on the team last December, it was the game right before Christmas break, and that whole break, Isaiah and I and Miles Turner, who's now in the NBA, we kind of had a bond that really is unbroken, and we still communicate with each other. And I don't know, I guess Isaiah and I understand each other. We actually share the same birthday. He's 2 years older than I am, but we were both born on July 11th, so that's something nice that we share in common.
Okay. Earlier, and I think Ryan made a mention to it. Danny might have as well. That's this whole last one's off the bench Twitter thing. Now, it's placed in your hands because you're kind of the leader of this whole deal, right? Explain it.
Well, last year we decided that our students and maybe our fans weren't doing a good enough job getting out to our games, so we kind of twisted it and figured out a way that we could be a little bit more outgoing. And social media is huge nowadays, so we figured that if we kind of showed our fans what it was like to be on the inside and what it's like from our perspective to be on the basketball team, we figured that they might, the interest would, or their awareness for basketball would get a lot higher. And I don't know, we've started to hear chants at basketball games, last one's off the bench, and we like to go on the road, and when we're on the road, we're always on Twitter, and we tweet pictures out, game times. We just want fans to be more involved, and we felt like Twitter would be a great way to reach out to our fans to let them know what's going on in the Texas basketball world.
Pretty creative stuff.
It is. The interesting thing is, you probably remember this, these guys came to me probably after I'd been here for about a month or two, and they said, is it all right if we do this? Because at VCU, we didn't tweet at all.
At all?
No.
Not you, not the program?
No one in the program tweeted, and part of that was because there's some pros and cons to social media. But these guys came to me that respectful like they always are, and they said, hey, is this something, if you guys mind if we do this, it's something that can promote our program in a good way, and thought about it, and it made all kinds of sense. Usually we don't like too much to go on social media that's directly related to practice or shoot-arounds or trips or anything within our team, because we want that to stay on the inside, but they do a really good job of being tasteful with everything, but also giving people kind of a inside look into what they're up to.
Yeah. Now, I want to give you also a chance to tell folks a little bit about the antics on the bench there. You know, this whole consciousness of the walk-ons and the guys at the end of the bench really kind of mushroomed this year. The Monmouth thing really took off. A lot of folks noticed guys at the end of the bench. Now, you guys aren't as crazy as what the Monmouth guys are doing, but you do have your own personality and identity with that.
Well, first off, I'd like to say that our energy on the end of the bench is 100% real. I think that Coach mentioned earlier that Ryan and Danny, and as just a second ago, as he said, I think the three of us are about as emotional as we can get when we don't play, and we understand what our individual roles are, and I think that our celebrations, they're not planned. We don't plan any of them. They just
Nothing choreographed.
Nothing choreographed. They all just come
Which
to
is
us.
different than some places.
Yes.
Very different than that school you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
But we don't do it for the press. We don't do it to get on television. We do it in pure excitement. And there's actually a couple things, common trends, if you will. And the biggest one is Coach Roos, our strength coach, pointed it out. I think it was around the Vanderbilt game. Connor Lammert, in the last 2 or 3 minutes of multiple games this season, always comes up with a big three-pointer. And he hit one at Baylor on the road. He hit the one at Vanderbilt. And it seems like Connor's always hitting that big shot late in the game. And that really sparks us. But we also love when Tevin gets going early, and especially Eric. But anytime someone hits a three-pointer or there's a big dunk or something like that, we're showing them as much enthusiasm as we can, because that's one of our core values. And
okay, so let me ask you a question that's more than just hypothetical. You've been enthusiastic. You guys are all engaged. You're pumped up. You're going crazy, and now you get into the game. You all of a sudden how do you shift into player mode from into the bench mode?
Well, we do it every day. We're working on our game a lot. Whether it's scout team or individual drills, stuff like that. We're doing the best we can to stay in game shape. It's very tough, though, because we don't get as many reps in practice as the other guys do. But we're doing the best we can. But getting put in the game is one of the most exciting things that you can imagine, being on the end of the bench.
Do you guys go into the game, everybody wants you to shoot. Everybody in the arena that's rooting for Texas wants every single walk-on to shoot the basketball the minute they get on the floor. And you've got to know that. So how do you stay with what the coaches want you to do, and yet everybody's wanting to be pleased by a shot?
Well, I mean, you have to respect what the coaches want, and that's definitely what's in our mind. But when you're in the moment, it's hard to focus on what the coaches want, and especially Danny. When we played UTSA, I don't know how happy Coach was on the sideline when Danny hit his third three-pointer with about 9 seconds left. But he was in the moment, and as a senior, I think that'll highlight. Hopefully, it won't be the highlight of our season, but I think Danny, as an individual, talking about games, I think that's definitely the highlight of his season and possibly his career here at Texas.
Shaka, do you want your guys, when they go out there on the floor, to shoot the basketball?
Well, those guys have earned the right to go out when they get out there and have some fun, and play and go score. And, you want to finish the game the right way, so it's kind of a fine line. And in that game that you mentioned, the score had gotten a little bit out of hand. But far be it from me to say, okay, don't try to go play, don't try to go score, because these guys have made so many deposits into our program day after day after day. And I'm not just talking about working in practice. I'm talking about on trips. I'm talking about, as Joe mentioned, being a connector with your teammates and the things that they do, with their teammates off the court. So, you get a chance to get out there, go get a bucket.
Joe, you're an advertising guy, right?
I actually just changed to corporate communications.
Okay, so what do you see for yourself beyond the realm and the scope of the University of Texas and your college career? What would you do beyond that?
Well, I'm just now starting corporate communication classes, and so far I enjoy all of them. And I'm looking to finish here in 4 years and then experiment in the real world. And I don't have anything in particular lined up, but I definitely want to be involved in sports. I've grown up around sports, and they're my passion, and I want to be able to work.
I could see you as an agent or something.
He'd be good.
Well, the guys have talked to me about that. They were like, hurry up and graduate so you can be our agent. So I'm doing the best I can, but I would love to be involved in sports and starting to make these connections with guys. As I mentioned earlier, Miles, who is my age, only a few months older than me. It's just so cool to see these guys develop into players and see what players who have been through the University of Texas, when they end their careers, what they turn into. So,
great to have you drop by. Appreciate it, Joe.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
All right, Joe Schwartz with us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up here when Longhorn Weekly continues in a moment.